Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. All right, one of the best improvements that Toyota have made to this new 4th gen Tacoma is they've made it much easier to fit larger tires. So today I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about fitting a 35-inch tire with no real modifications, including no lift, to the 2024 4th generation and later Toyota Tacoma. All right, so why would you want to run a larger tire, and in particular a 35-inch tire? Well, it may seem pretty obvious, but there are some benefits to doing this, but it's not all benefits, and I'll discuss the downsides. The benefits would be it looks awesome, right? I mean, you can't deny how good this truck looks with a larger, chunkier tire. The second benefit is that for off-roading, if you actually are going to go off-road, which most people don't, but if you do, then this really helps your clearance when you're off-roading, and it's a tougher, more durable, stronger tire, especially when you upgrade the tire to something like this Falcon, which I'll talk about here in a minute. By the way, I should mention that nothing in this video is sponsored whatsoever. I paid full price for the truck, for the wheels, for the tires, for everything you see here. I have another YouTube channel where I earn a living, and this channel is just sort of a side hobby, so I don't need to worry about getting sponsors or earning money on this YouTube channel. Well, it's important that you understand that none of this is sponsored. Now, what are the downsides to running a larger tire on your vehicle? Any vehicle out there, not just the Tacoma. So there are many downsides, and people don't talk about this enough. One downside is you're going to decrease the handling of your truck. So on the highway, going around corners, things like that, you're decreasing the handling. You've got more unsprung weight. You're raising the vehicle up, raising the center of gravity. It doesn't handle as well around corners. You're also going to hurt the acceleration and the braking performance of your vehicle, because they're larger, they're bigger, and they're heavier, and it wasn't designed to really have this size of tire on it. It wasn't engineered from the factory in this way. So there are many downsides to doing this, and if you're not going off-road, there's absolutely no reason to do a larger tire on your truck or other vehicle, because you're not gaining anything, you're only losing performance. All right, so very important. We need to talk about and understand wheel offset. If you're going to understand fitting a larger tire to your vehicle, but especially to your Tacoma 4Runner, you need to understand how offset works, and there's a lot of bad information out there about this. So the 4th generation Tacoma, at least the TRD off-road trim, comes with wheels that have an offset of plus or positive 55 millimeters. Wheel offset is the distance between a wheel's mounting surface and its center line. So think of it this way: a larger number offset, or a more positive offset number, means that the wheel and the tire is pushed in further towards the center of the vehicle. On the other hand, a smaller offset number, or getting into the negative offsets, if you want to look at it that way, which many offsets are out there with wheels you look at, making that offset number a smaller number means that you are pushing the wheel and tire out from the body. Some people like to call this the poke. Now, in order to get the most tire clearance for fitting a larger tire on the 4th generation Tacoma, you're going to want to keep with an offset number that is closer to that of the stock plus 55 millimeter offset factory wheels. If you go smaller than that, anything you go smaller than that is going to cause more and more issues with clearance, because you're changing how the wheels and tires fit to the inside or the outside of the fenders and to the body and suspension of the truck. Many people will choose a wheel and tire combination, sometimes not even really knowing what they're putting on their truck. You're going to choose something that has these lower or negative offsets. Well, there's many problems with doing that. One is that you're pushing the wheel and tire further out from the body. This is going to decrease the handling of the vehicle on and off-road. It increases the scrub radius, and it makes more potential for failure and breaking things in your suspension. So that's all bad. What you're also doing when you get too much poke is that you are increasing the likelihood that you're going to damage your paint and your body, the body of your vehicle, from rocks and mud and things coming up from the tire, impacting the body of your vehicle, because you've got that tire sticking way too far out. So you don't want all that poke coming way out. Not only does it look kind of silly, like you don't know what you're doing, but also you're increasing the potential damage to your truck and you're making the handling worse. Now, this is all made worse by the fact that unfortunately most aftermarket wheel manufacturers, because they believe that people want that poked out look, have made offsets on their aftermarket wheels that are too small or too low of a number or getting into the negatives. This makes all of this much worse. So for my wheels that you see here, and I'll link everything below, and they're not affiliate links because again this isn't sponsored, but these are Method MR703. They're 8.5 inches wide and they have a plus 35 millimeter offset. Now Method also offers these wheels in a 0 offset and a negative 12 millimeter offset. But if you've listened to anything I've said so far, if you have a 4th generation Tacoma, you do not want those. You want the plus 35 millimeter offset, which is still less than the factory 55, but is still a very healthy number for this vehicle. And if you're looking at wheels for the 4th gen, I would look at things between 25 to 40 millimeter positive offset. Now, for the tires that I chose to go with the Falcon AT4W. The reason I chose the AT4Ws is that they've got a great reputation and great reviews for traction on and off-road and in the snow, for durability and strength when going through rocks. They also, importantly to me, because I live in the mountains, even though it's summer right now, they have the severe snow service rating, or the 3 Mountain Peak snowflake rating, something I really appreciated. The size that I went with are a 315/70/17, and they come out to just under 35 inches. Now, some other things that I had to do on this 4th gen Tacoma to make it possible to clear these wheels and tires. So you have to take off the little safety plates that are in the front wheel wells. I think there's like 3 bolts on each one. It takes you less than 5 minutes to take them off from both sides. Take those off, keep them somewhere if you ever need them. You probably won't. Keep them in the garage as a nice souvenir, I guess. The other thing, depending on the tire and wheel you choose, and this was the case for my situation because I went pretty big with the 35, is you may have to trim a little bit around the inner fender liners, but you're not trimming the body, you're not trimming anything metal or body mounts, you're not trimming fenders like the actual fender, just some of the inner lining part, just very minor. You'll test this by going lock-to-lock steering, by going off-road, listening for any rubbing, and then adjusting things as needed. Alright, so if I haven't made enough people mad in this video up to this point, just because I'm telling the truth and going against some of the things you see out there on the forums, let's make people even more mad and talk about lift kits. I generally am against any kind of lift kit whatsoever. There's no lift kit on my Tacoma, and as you can see, and as I've tested via going on the trail and doing everything with this truck, there's 0 rubbing with a 35-inch tire. With the stock Tacoma TRD off-road, no lift. Let me repeat that. There's no rubbing, no issues, and I have no lift kit on this truck. Despite what the lift kit manufacturers would like to tell you in the marketing, you don't need a lift on this vehicle to clear larger tires. And you probably shouldn't get a lift. So why am I against lift kits? Well, number one is that most people will choose the budget options, which are going to be the spacer type lift kits. These are terrible. They mess up your steering geometry, the suspension geometry. They can break your shocks and other suspension components by stretching them out and putting undue stress on things. They don't improve the handling, they decrease the handling. They're just poorly designed option, but they're there because manufacturers can make a few bucks off of making that budget option. I would not put a spacer lift on my vehicles ever, period. I just will not do it. The other reason that I'm generally against lifts, and I don't think you really need lifts, is that, well, number one, by putting on a 35-inch tire, I've increased the clearance in the way that really matters, getting the drive shafts and the differentials up higher and moving the whole truck a little bit higher up above the trail. But also lift kits raise the center of gravity of your vehicle, making the on-road handling, which is where you drive 98% of the time, making that worse, making it less safe, and it just looks dumb. All these lifted trucks out there driving around town, they look dumb. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I think a lot of us kind of are thinking that, and we just need to come out and say it. They don't look right, because most of y'all aren't going off-road with those trucks anyway, so why would you want to lift? And even people who do off-road, a lot of the seasoned off-roaders, they will go with either a very small lift, or as in my case, I don't need a lift at all. All right, so overall, I'm extremely happy with the fact that I'm able to put a chunky 35-inch tire on this truck with no real modifications other than the tiny, taking off those little brackets and doing a tiny bit of trimming on the fender. No lift kit, no other mods, and the fact that with this hybrid max, what's it called? iForce Max, sorry, I get the names mixed up. This hybrid max powertrain, it has so much power, so much torque, and now you've got the 8-speed transmission. It is a complete revelation versus the outgoing Tacoma with the underpowered V6 and the sad 6-speed transmission. If you had 35-inch tires on the 3rd gen Tacoma, good luck to you. Well, number one, they would be very difficult to fit if you even could do it. And once you did it, you'd find that you had to dramatically re-gear the vehicle because the power and gearing wasn't even adequate for the stock 31-inch tires, not even to speak of a 35-inch tire. So the 4th gen Tacoma, what Toyota has done, I'm incredibly happy with it. The way that it drives, accelerates, brakes, handles, and everything with the larger tire is incredible because it has so much overhead in the powertrain and in the gearing. It really is a very, very good match, even with these much larger tires. As for fuel economy, you will take a fuel economy hit, and I have, of probably 10%, a 10% reduction on the already rather poor fuel economy that even these 4th gen trucks get. We'll talk about that more, and speaking of that, stay tuned. In a couple months, I'll put out a 6-month honest review of this Tacoma, the pros and the cons, what I like, what I don't like, talk about anything else I've done to the truck, which really is nothing other than like a bed cover and maybe some floor mats, and that was about it. So I'll talk about all that in a 6-month review, which will be coming up pretty soon. I hope you found this information useful. Again, this is not really my main YouTube channel. I'm just doing this because I think it's interesting and I think it's good information. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there on the trails, on the highways. I'll see you in the next video.